pop the camera up there, and I'm literally just holding it like this, and I'm shaking. I'm like, oh my god! And there's also no one monitoring the shot, so we don't. No one knows if we actually got the shot.
All right, welcome, people who are my viewers. Welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I have a very special guest on the show, my friend Justin Manabat. He's been on the podcast on the So Far podcast, but now I have him here on the YouTube channel. Say hi to the YouTube world or the internet world.
What's going on, everybody? I'm excited to be here, and thank you, Anton, for reaching out.
Yeah. So this time I want to try bringing on people who make videos for the internet or make content for the internet, whether that be they are directors, producers, or editors. Maybe they're sound people. Maybe they just work behind the scenes and they are like a coordinator of some sort. But yeah, just break down how things work to see the videos that we see in front of our eyes when we're browsing on our phones and stuff. Yeah, today I'm gonna have our special guest Justin, who is actually a cinematographer, director of photography. I guess those are the same words.
Yeah.
Director, editor, colorist. Justin, why don't you talk a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, no, Anton pretty much nailed it on the head there. They're all the same: director of photography, cinematographer, even video. They're all under the same umbrella. But yeah, I'm mainly the guy that has a camera, compositing the shot, making sure the shot looks good before we start rolling. But yeah, no, I've. It's funny because my partner and I, we do a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
We did a little bit of the lighting, even the audio, the sound, like the directing, even producing, like there's a little bit of everything where we have to wear a lot of different hats for a lot of different situations. But at the end of the day, like I mainly went towards director of photography.
Right. So camera operation, lighting, stuff like that, planning the shots. Well, today I pulled up some footage, actually basically just the full videos from your company Vimeo. And we're just gonna have a good time breaking down some of the stuff that you've shot or edited or have been a part of. What can you tell us about this shoot? You remember this shoot?
Yeah, so this is for the New Balance commercial or New Balance ad that we did with a company called Hoop Dreams, and we were fortunate enough to have a player, and I think he's 16, and he was like one of the up and coming players in Toronto. And this was mainly about the New Balance shoe, one of Kawhi Leonard's shoe that he just recently released. And funny enough, I think this video, it was planned the night before we shot it. So it was
wow.
It was
that is
yeah, it was hectic.
That's how it be sometimes.
Oh, it's stressful. Like we hear about it a few days before, and then we don't have time to really sit down and think about it until like the night before, and then but yeah, no, it was a pretty simple setup though. I think we only had a one light setup, and we had a little bit of sound. But yeah, no, it was generally a pretty simple shoot, and it was a lot of fun to do though.
All right, well, we're just gonna go through the clip, and then we'll talk about it a little afterward.
Yep.
The greatest seismic forces go unnoticed at first, starting as a tiny tremor beneath the surface, until the day where the whole world stops and takes notice.
All right, so that was Hoop Dreams.
Yes, sir. Damn.
Yeah,
that was a fun one to do.
And so tell us, you said this is a one light setup, but what do you have going on? I see. If I just track a little bit, is Is that
Oh,
what's
there
going
it
on?
is.
I
Yep.
see the C
There
stand.
it is.
Got sandbag down.
Yeah,
What's
there it
going on
is.
here? Is this like an aperture? What's going on
Yeah,
here?
so our lighting setup was pretty much a 300 aperture 300 D Mark II. And our C stand wasn't high enough to go that high, so we put it to the max, and then we also added a C stand arm on top of it to extend it even higher.
So you had like dual arms.
Yeah, we had like the C stand, and then we had the C stand arm to give it like an extra, like some extra length there. But because we really wanted that high low angle light, that spotlight look, and to get this look, actually, you can't really get this look unless you have haze. So we actually had to rent a haze machine that gives the ambient look of that spotlight, and then you can see that, like, it just makes the room crazy nice.
Right. So like in this shot, like right here, or really, yeah, this shot
Yeah.
that you got going on. It's nice. You can see like the streak of light
Yep.
in the corners. You got in the bottom left corner and bottom top right corner.
Yep.
It's kind of in the dark, and he's silhouetted right here.
Yeah.
Got the light coming in from the sides. So you bought a hazer? How difficult?
we rented it.
You rented a hazer.
Yeah,
How difficult are those to work with?
Honestly, they're actually really simple. It's just all you gotta do is flip the switch on, and then it just turns on. The only thing is, because we were working in we're in a gym, right? So you need time for the haze to fill and then to sit. You want the haze. You don't want the haze to be too much, because then it just looks like a cloud. And it's unless that's the aesthetic that you're going for. It depends on the aesthetic. But for us, what we did was we wanted to let it sit, fill the room, let it sit, and then once we had that nice soft haze, and that's when we knew to go for it.
Right.
But yeah, that was the only thing. Like, we only had to wait until we filled up the massive gym that we were in.
Right, man. And so, you said you were shooting this on the Zcam. What was the setup you got going on?
Yeah, I think so. We had the Zcam F6, so it was a full frame camera, and we had, I think back then it was the SLR Magics. So we had, I think, only had two lenses. We only had the 25 and the 50.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm pretty sure. So, but yeah, we only, if it was back then, and we only had those two lenses available to us, and or you know what? Maybe it could have been a 35, because
So this looks kind of wide right here. This shot here.
Yeah, actually, it could have been. I have to look back at the stuff, but it could have been. We could have also had a Sigma 35 on there, but yeah, no, it was all prime lenses, manual focus. So it was tough because I didn't have an AC pulling focus for me. It was all like my own hand, and I didn't even have back then a focus pull. So I was literally on the lens.
Oh,
I was focusing on the lens.
Really kind of jittery too, a little.
Yeah. So you get a little bit of the jitter, a little bit of like the human feel on there.
Yeah.
But it adds more of a shakiness, real effect anyway. So it all worked out.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Now, looking back at this, is there anything that you would have changed?
I think that going back, we would probably set up because we also wanted a shot where it was directly top down on him. I think in one of the opening shots you can see it where we tried to get it, but since the C stand wasn't long enough, we had to go really tight, and we wanted a wide shot of him with the spotlight down on him, but the C stand wasn't long enough, so like we would see the C stand in the shot. So I think the only thing I would want is I would go back and try and hire out a proper grip, and then be like, hey, we want to put that light on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Is there any way, like, how do you do that? Please go for it. So I think that was, because that's the only shot that we didn't get that we wanted.
Yeah, I'm sure an IATC member, if they walked in and saw this monstrosity here, you'd get an earful.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So it's one of those things where we learn how to do things, and then we're like, okay, you know what? There's obviously a better way to do this.
Right.
But at least we learned, and then
Yeah.
we go from there.
And were you editing or coloring this, or just on the shooting?
So what I do is my partner Jason Dam, I put together a base cut where it's just like pretty much the bottom layer of before any special effects are added or any flashy stuff are added. I put the base cut together, and then I send it off to my partner Jason, where he's the main colorist, so he colors pretty much everything, and he also he likes to finesse it. He's the master finesser, where he makes it all come together, and I send it to him. He sends it back. I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So like it's
you can see
a
the
good
grain.
combination.
Oh, the beautiful grain here. You're shooting this in log, or are you shooting this raw, or?
No, we shot this. We weren't shooting this in raw. We shot this in, I think it was just ProRes.
Okay.
422. I think that's what the camera had back then. But yeah, no, it definitely wasn't raw though.
It was in. Okay. All right. So you're just shooting with like a Rec 709 kind of LUT.
Yeah. And then oh no, we shot this in the log profile.
Oh, okay.
But then and then Jason edited it. He put his magic touch on there, and then it just turned out the way it looks now.
Yeah. All right. I love it. All right. Next video. About this commercial?
This was honestly like the way it turned out was not how I expected it to turn out. Mm-hmm. I thought it was going to be one of those videos that's going to be like, okay, we were shooting it, I think 12 noon, sun's high.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is like watching, like when we were on set shooting this, I'm like, this is not going to turn out pretty. This is not going to turn out great. And we used, no lights. It was literally just me and the camera and the sun. And I think we also had a bounce for some shots, and it was harsh because we're working with harsh sunlight. So I wasn't expecting the video to turn out the way it did, and it again, I think Jason just I think it was because of the Z-Cam. The Z-Cam has such a crazy dynamic range where it brings in all the information back. I'm like, holy crap, because it was overexposed. I swear it was overexposed on set. I'm like, this is gonna be trash. Bring it home, and then we play around with it. Like, oh my god, everything's there. So I think big credits to the Z-Cam to retain all that information.
Right. Yeah, and I think this is just like another like lesson to talk about. Things just don't always go to plan, right? You have things in your head. They might turn out. You think that they're turning out a certain way, but then it turns out they don't.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I was super happy with how it turned out. That's actually one of my low key videos that I really like, actually, and it turned out amazing.
And how long was this shoot day? You had like the talent there and everything.
This shoot day, because it's funny because this commercial was also it was a video shoot, also a photo shoot. So we had to work alongside the photographer, and we were like subbing in and out. So the photographer go and get her shots. She got her stuff. Okay, I would go in, we get our shots, and then vice versa. So it was interesting. So we only had, I think, a few hours to really shoot this, and but yeah, no, it was great. Like even collaborating with the photographer, making sure that I'm not in her shots and she's not in my shots. Like it all worked out perfect.
Mm-hmm. And was the client on set during this? Yeah.
The client was on set the whole time, and we were making sure that he liked the shot. Mm-hmm. And he loved it, but in my head I'm like, oh my god, this is not looking too good. but he loved it, so I'm like, okay, so we got the approval from him, and then we brought it back home, and then we're like, oh, it's actually a lot better than we thought. And then he was blown away by the video. He's like, holy, this is great.
Yeah, I think it sometimes just goes to prove that really, as long as you get the message across,
Yeah,
that feeling across, then you've done your job. You know, you don't have to worry about like, are we shooting at golden hour and are we shooting at with this
yeah,
Cook anamorphic lens or whatever.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then this is the time slot that we were given. It was during like noon, like 12 to 2. So then we couldn't really tell him, be like, look, we want to shoot at golden hour. So like it wasn't our choice. So we worked with what we have, and it blew me away.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, let's skip along to the next one.
Oh, you thought this happened overnight? I wish that story were true. But the answer to this equation lies in a combination of inspiration, dedication.
So that was a spot for Sportsnet, right?
Yes, sir.
And tell me how did you get this gig? How did this all work out? How did this all get started?
It's actually from my partner Jason. He had to connect with the producer, and the producer, they had a relationship prior, and he saw our work recently, like all of the stuff that we've been creating, and then he's like, you know what, I've seen the stuff that you've been making, and I definitely want it. Like I want a piece of that. So he was this is actually the same person the same company, Hoop Dreams, that we did for the New Balance commercial. So we did the New Balance thing. He loved that. He's like, you know what, I got something else, got Sportsnet on the plate, and also want to give it to you guys. So and that's how this came to be. This was a longer one though. This was like a 2-week shoot. It was logistically, this was a nightmare, but you know, we got it done. It was all like it was a headache. The process was a headache because it was like such spontaneous. It was so spontaneous. I'm like, oh my god, we're shooting today, like we're shooting tomorrow, like, and then I have other shoots like already planned. So then it was just working with what we have, and again, it turned out amazing, and they loved it.
Right. So let's go back to the pre-production on this. How you said it was a 2-week shoot? Like, first of all, the development of the idea. Where did you guys come up with the idea of having it be? I guess you said it was the same client from the Hoop Dreams one, and so was it they were inspired by that kind of spoken word kind of thing?
Yeah, so I think one of our good friends, Hamoud, he was the spoken word artist for this piece, and we had the idea of using Hamoud to narrate this video. So it was a collaboration of all of us. Like we had an idea going into it. Hamoud had an idea going into it because it was his words, it was his message. And then Hoop Dreams also had an idea. So we all kind of collaborated together, and it was more or less around following the journey of Miles, that basketball player, and his journey to becoming a superstar one day. But not even that. It was more about Canadian basketball and the impact that it has. Even I think this was for Black History Month too. So it was a little bit of everything, and the culture of Canadian basketball, the culture of Black Canadians as well, and the impact of how it all ties in together, and the growth of everything. So it was a collaboration of everyone's ideas come together, and it was tough because we had an idea going into it, but then logistically it couldn't fall through, so we had to sub someone in, and then sometimes that didn't fall through, so I had a plan C. So it was crazy because like even like on shoot day we were on set, and then on shoot day didn't fall through, especially during the times of COVID and the world that we live in. We're like the players can't come shoot this thing because of COVID reasons. So then it's just like, all right, so what's plan C? What's plan D? And we still got it done though. It was a 2-week shoot because all those cancellations, and then finding somebody to fill in their shoes, and then finding out that they're perfect to do it, and then we went out and shot them.
this shot right here, this edit.
Suicides every day of the week. Hand.
Yeah.
That match cut. That match
Yeah.
cut though.
Yeah. I shot Miles doing that. So we shot Miles before we shot the other player, Elijah, in the other gym. So I was shooting Miles doing that. And then as soon as I did that, I knew we were shooting Elijah Fisher the day after. And I'm like, okay, I already know a match cut that we're gonna do with this. So and it just seamlessly worked perfect. I'm like, oh my God, this is sick. Like that's one of the shots I was really proud of.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not like you can try to plan, but then sometimes you just gotta find something on the fly.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It wasn't that match cut was not planned in pre-production. It was like I got that shot on shoot day, and then I'm like I kept it in the back of my head, knowing that when I go to shoot Elijah Fisher, that we would do the exact same thing.
And tell me about the editing of this.
Editing. So again, I put the base together and sent, and also we also collaborated with Hamoud, the spoken word artist, and we wanted to make sure that his message was being told visually and emotionally through his words. And yeah, like the really technical part is because we wanted the base cut was good, but we wanted to see an extra level. Like how can we add sound effects? How can we add little shots of his old school footage, of his just like all this other elements to make this edit like bigger than just a base cut. So again, that's where Jason put his magic on there, and then he finessed the crap out of it, and I love him for it.
Were there any complicated shots or any shots that you're just really proud of? Any shots that you're like, that was not that great or that took a lot?
Honestly, it was pretty
Like, I like this
straightforward
shot.
because
This is just
yeah, and it was and you know what it was there wasn't any light setup too. This is all house lights, and the beauty of turning off house lights and seeing where we have light leakages going through, and that's an example of one of them where we turned off the lights, we saw light coming through there. We're like, all right, Miles, we're gonna get a silhouette shot of you here. Again, it wasn't planned. We didn't do a location scout either. We showed up to the gym and then we saw that and we're like, okay, we're definitely getting this. So it was one of those that it's just a spontaneous shoot where things just fall into place in front of us, and then we're like, this is the shot.
oh, awesome. That sounds great. Just like how much like sound did you record there? Was it all just natural sound that you recorded there, or did you record any like Foley extra sounds?
You know what? I think it was all added sound. We didn't record any on-site audio, so it was all the sound in this was all just added in, like the birds, the dribbling,
The speakers
everything.
in the gym.
Yeah, it was all added.
Wow. All right. Well, that was an excellent video.
Thank you. Yeah, it was fun to make. It was a journey, so it was good.
All right. This one's a little bit different, but let's just watch through it.
Yep.
It's funny the way the bike works. It waits for you to commit before it does. The pedals don't move until your feet do. The wheels don't turn unless your legs are in motion. The bike waits for the rider. And I've never been more ready.
All right. So tell me about that video.
So that one was with Hugo Barrett, Olympian cyclist, and this was actually one of our first bigger shoots that we've ever had, and that was because we knew that we wanted him biking, and we're like, okay, how? So we got my buddy to drive in his Subaru hatchback, and I was literally dangling out the trunk, and we have Jason holding me by my I was wearing a backpack, and then Jason was holding my backpack, so making sure I don't fall out of the car. And then at the same time, we also had Francis, our drone operator, where he would fly his drone while we're driving. I'm like, I have no idea how you do that. So I'm like, this is that's a crazy skill to have. It was cool because we had to go on the path before he actually went on it. So he was actually training this day. And we obviously didn't want to really disrupt his training day because he's training for the Olympics. And so he told us his route that he's taking. So we drove by it, or we did the route before we met up with him. And then we knew the spots that we want to shoot him at. So that way we knew when to get ahead of him and when to set up and when to get ready for when he's coming. And then even Francis had his drone up in the air being like, oh, I can see him. He's coming pretty soon.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of plan. It was kind of like a wedding where like, if you missed the moment, you kind of missed it.
Yeah.
Like you can't really tell him to go back and do it again because he's actually training. But it worked perfectly and couldn't be happier.
Right. And tell me about the sound design for this one. I think the sound production for the sound design is like really important with the whooshes.
Yeah. And that's the sound again. I think that was all Jason. We didn't record any on-field audio here. So exact same thing like SportsNet, where we added in all the audio, and it just fit perfectly. That's all the whooshes, all the bike stuff. I think the only on camera or on field sound was that shot right there, the last one, when he's gunning for it. I think that was the only sound that we had like that was recorded. Any
other funny stories or any particular things that you want to mention? You're for these side profile ones, you said you were hanging out the side. Hanging out the back. I mean, were you hanging out the back and then just holding your camera to the side?
So we tried. We had a few shots like that where I was hanging out of the back seat of hanging out of the trunk of the Subaru, and it didn't really give me that side profile look because I didn't really want to commit to going all the way out there because I'm like, I might die. I might die doing this. So we went plan B. I went to the back seat of the car, rolled down the window, and I just stuck the camera out there. So then we were driving right beside him where we were side by side. And then it was nice because Hugo allowed us to tell him, being like, Hugo, can you slow down or can you speed up or maintain that speed? So that way I can tell the driver, being like, all right, speed up, slow down, or maintain it. So that way it was all coordinated. Mm-hmm. And then there was also one other shot where we had the back of him and he was biking down the hill, and then we had the back shot of him. Obviously we can't do that hanging out of the back seat of the car. We also can't do that on the side of the car. It was that one. So we knew we wanted a follow shot of him that's straight away with the trees. Because when we were driving by it, we all agreed, like being like, this is definitely the shot of getting a shot of him behind. And so for this one, we open up the sunroof, I pop the camera up there, and I'm literally just holding it like this. And I'm shaking. I'm like, oh my God. And there's also no one monitoring the shot. So no one knows if we actually got the shot until we made it down the hill. And it was a long hill, so I was holding it for a long time, and luckily we got the first 5-6 seconds of the hill before it started to tilt up, and then we just lost the shot altogether. But yeah, no, it was one of those where we had a one take to do it because Hugo's not going to go all the way back up the hill to do this again. So I was so grateful after we watched it back and thank God we got the shot. And then we can move on.
One of the things I also liked was this zoom dolly kind of that sort of shot.
Yeah.
You have to have both hands on this for.
That was a digital zoom. That's
Oh,
actually
okay.
a digital
Oh.
digital punch-in. So it was because we're using primes. Yeah,
So-
we had primes. So like we just digitally zoomed it
You
in.
had the f6 and what lens were you using?
I think same thing. So we only had the 25, the SLR Magic. So that's 25 and the 50, and we could. I don't know if we had the 35 as well. The Sigma 35. I don't remember, but yeah, it was those two lenses though.
All right. Well, I think we're kind of getting close on time here. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but what can you say? What can you say about working with clients and then working with crew and working with talent? Like those are three very different animals.
Yeah. So working with, I guess I'll start with the crew. Everybody needs to be on the same page, right? So you have the crew meetings before the shoot, like we have the crew meetings before the day, just making sure everyone's on the same page, and then on the shoot day, like everyone's like we're all cooperating and communicating. Where like recently we actually just got walkie talkies where it's easier for us to talk to each other without having to be beside each other.
Mm-hmm.
And was the other one client?
Yeah.
So the client, yeah. So it's always nerve-wracking having the client there watching what you're shooting, because it's like you're just shooting and then you're like, is this the shot? Like, do you like like do you like how this looks?
Yeah.
But at the same time, the client hires you for a reason, and they've seen your work before, and then they're like, we trust you with your vision and how you're going to get it, and we just know that like whatever you do is going to be great. I'm like, sure, that's great, but like someone just want to make sure that like do you still like the shot? But yeah, no, it's usually the client has a tremendous trust in our vision for us to execute, and we always knock it out of the park every time. I think, was there one more?
Yeah, talent. And I guess we can split this off into two types of talent. So one is professional, like models and actors, and another one is like people who aren't used to performing for the camera.
Yeah, so talent, I guess starting with like the professionals, like it's funny because I think for any talent, so both professional and non-professional, like you want them to feel comfortable in front of the camera, because it's intimidating having a massive lens looking dead at you in the eye, and yeah, it's and having all these lights going off. It's like the main thing we want to make sure that they feel comfortable with us being on set and being on camera, and we try to make them feel as if like we're like friends on set, like we're just hanging out. And I think that's one of the main things that we have going on for us, is like after first thing after each shoot, the talent and even the clients are always like, we loved working with you guys. Like it was a lot of fun. It didn't feel like work. It felt like we were hanging out and we're getting some crazy shots while we're doing it. But I guess going back to it, professional talent, it's like for some beauty shoots that we've done, I hold the camera up and they just go right into their mood. I'm like, holy crap, they just turned it on. I'm like, they know exactly how to work the camera angles and how to move, versus like someone who's not always on camera. Like you kind of have to give more direction, but at the same time, we make them feel comfortable doing what we want them to do.